Hello there, and happy SOMP Saturday, everyone. Wow, we're gonna get through this together. There is so much Star Wars on the horizon to look forward to, and can't wait to hang out here with all of you. And let me, let me restart my intro.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. I've been doing that recently. I start doing an intro, and then I'm like, I need to restart this. And then you're always like,
Okay.
why? And I just keep it in.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just keep it in at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, hello there, everyone. My goodness. My brain is still mush from current events. But here we are. If this is your first episode, I'm so sorry. My name is Ashton. I'm one of your co-hosts. And I'm joined by I'm joined by Tim Griesbach,
Yes.
all the way
All the way in Germany, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. You have several 20 episodes to catch up if this is your first one.
Yeah, thanks for being here from
Yes.
wherever you're joining in the galaxy. Well, today this is like our part two of the John Williams documentary and kind of our thoughts and takeaways. So we're going to be getting into that and some pretty cool, topics and things. But first, what we've been doing is leading each episode with our musical experience of the week. So let's just keep doing that, until someone says, "I hate
Yes.
this,"
Yes.
Um,
Comes up with a better idea.
yeah. Cool. You want to go first, Tim?
Yes, so mine, I've been starting to replay the OG Battlefront 2 from
Oh,
2000, was it
yes.
5 or something? And I
Excellent.
had to play the main campaign with the, 5 first story and journal. It's good. It's
It
devastating.
was Tamura Morrison that did the voice, right? Or was it someone else?
Yes, I think so, yes.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
yeah. And then you have Rise and Fall of the Empire, and yeah. I played it on hard, so it's a
Mm.
very tense battle on Yavin.
Hmm.
You have to stand ground for 2 minutes to keep an checkpoint, and as soon as they overtake it, then you have to restart all over again. So it's have been some busy hours. But the score from John Williams is always blasting. Doesn't matter if you're in space or not in any battle. It's always
Hmm.
huge pleasure. You know.
Always.
Yeah, that's my
That's great.
musical take.
Mine is not Star Wars related, actually. So I'll keep it like short, so like we can like stay on
Hmm.
topic. But basically, I mean, for anyone who's been listening to us for, like the past few episodes, every now and then I'll kind of nerd out about the new Lewis Cole album titled Nothing. And it has all of the things that stimulate my creative brain happening in that album. And just like beautiful stuff. But anyway, my musical experience of the week is there's this one track called It All Passes, which is just hauntingly beautiful. And I've been trying to pinpoint why it makes me feel the way it feels. Like what is it about it that's so hauntingly beautiful? And I'm actually going to do a breakdown video of this, like whenever I start doing videos again, because the song, I finally figured it out.
All right.
Why, yeah, why it feels like this. And basically, the entire song, pretty much, there's this descending motion that's a very like not exactly chromatic, but like there are some chromatic elements to it, but just like a descending motion happening.
Hmm.
Even if the melody, which is just beautiful, is like kind of like rising or doing its thing.
Hmm.
What I figured out is that it's kind of simulating the Doppler effect, where like if someone is driving by, in like the music will
Hmm.
like shift down in pitch as they pass you,
Hmm.
um, or whatever the case. So that's the vibe that you get. It like makes it feel And especially with the melody like kind of like rising and then it like starts falling again. It just kind of creates this like something is approaching and then passing you by.
Mm-hmm.
And which is interesting because the title of the song is called It All Passes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which if I'm not mistaken, he wrote it for like a friend who was like going through something. So yeah, so I don't know, like that was just so just oh yeah, duh, like that's what it is. You know, you can like take the Doppler effect of something passing you by and kind of extrapolate that out into say like an experience or like you know a period of grief or if you're going through just like a dark moment, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
having that experience is kind of passing you by. And so um yeah, the song it's kind of like beautiful in a really dark and haunting way and I think I've pinpointed why. So that's kind of cool. Anyway,
Sweet. Anyways, happy fifth anniversary, The Mandalorian.
oh dude, yes. I have got to rewatch Mando, like seeing all of
Mm-hmm.
the concept art, you know, repopulate everyone's feeds and stuff. That's just been really fun. I haven't watched Mando in so long.
I'm still a little mad that we got to see it like 6 months later on because Disney Plus did not start in, what was it, fall? It was in
That's
spring.
crazy to me.
Yeah, and everyone was posting Grogu on the social media, and
Mm,
we were like, man, man.
yeah,
And then we had to be even more patient to watch it week by week.
that sucks.
So yeah,
And there was no like VPN way to like get around that. No.
no, not really.
Oh, that sucks so much, dude.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
And I applied for the fan screening of Skeleton Crew on December 3rd here in Germany.
Oh,
So
sweet.
fingers crossed for me.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that would be sick.
Should we dive into volume 2 of the doc?
Yeah, yeah, part two here.
I just realized, huge shame on me that I haven't seen the last 10 minutes. Don't ask me why. So major
Shame.
spoilers for me.
Yeah, spoiler alert, dude. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. So, where we left off last week, we were talking about kind of like the primal instincts and you know John Williams' theory of you know why music works the way it does.
Hmm.
And I did get a chance to chat with Dennis Ham about that, and he said yes for what he does with Synthesonics. He said, yeah, John Williams is touching on something similar to David Huron's acoustic ethological model, which I had never heard of before. So I'll have to do some research and some digging, but it sounds cool. But yeah, he was basically just saying, yeah, like this is a big inspiration for Synthesonics hypotheses. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah, we're really excited to see where Synthesonics goes because this, I think, even for the music theory, you know, nerds and musicians, but especially for non-musicians alike, I think getting back to this kind of root of the meaning and function of music, I think is now more than ever like really important,
Hmm.
you know, and kind of like learning about music theory through a lens of emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
you know, like that kind of thing, I think is really the next stage of music creation and music exploration and education that
Hmm.
that should be happening. I think that'll just make for a better, a more accessible music culture. So
Hmm.
yeah, anyway, just kind of wanted to like circle back around to that. But yeah, beyond that, oh yeah, so there's this one question that was brought up, which was for orchestral music scores, because I think the point they were making was like everyone loves this music and it
Hmm.
speaks to us so much. Like you can just tell because of how big the scores from like Home Alone or Harry Potter or Star Wars are.
Hmm.
You know, like it just there's something about this kind of music. And so the question was, why isn't there more of this? And so I kind of wanted to ask us that question. Like, why do we think there's not more of that? Like, obviously, we have the electronic soundscapes and percussion soundscapes that have kind of dominated commercial, sound scoring and stuff. I don't know. What is your kind of takeaway or answer to that?
Maybe because the main time of orchestras has been in the past and will maybe come back. So he's one of the few who's still willing to. I think they said it in the documentary as well, to preserve the sound of the orchestra and of many people making music together on a record. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's probably due to budget cuts that we have fewer orchestras than we had in the past. So modern productions, they don't buy like the LA Philharmonic. They buy individual musicians who become an orchestra for one project.
Hmm.
It's a lot cheaper. But yeah, I mean he's the big one who took it from the golden Hollywood age and preserved that, and others will follow to do it in different way.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, with the invention of, synthesizers and electronic music and digital production, there have been new ways to be explored, and that's why many people are doing it because it hasn't been there before.
Hmm.
There are many hybrid productions as well, so I think it's just a matter of time until we get more orchestra scores again.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think a lot of it has to do with, I think the success of his scores comes a lot from the masterfulness of them,
Mm-hmm.
like the quality, but also the complexity of them. And there's a magic because of the way that he orchestrates things, like there is a magic to the pieces. Like there's just like ear candy in them and complexity and there are parts, there are like intricate parts that are playing in there that you can't really hear,
Mm-hmm.
but they're there. And
Mm-hmm.
without them, they wouldn't have the same shimmery magic to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that is a big part of it, is just like getting that level of complexity and quality. It takes a very specific like level of study, I guess I would say, like
Mm-hmm.
level of
Yeah.
expertise, which
Yeah.
is not going to be widely doable, like the mainstream set of composers. But also I think just like turnaround time and what would you say, like technology. I think that is a
Mm-hmm.
big part of it too. It's just it's not reasonable or possible at a large scale to kind of pull that off right now in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, but it is doable if studios are given the opportunity and the room to do that. Like Michael Abels with
Yeah.
The Acolyte, for example,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
was sick. Uh, Honestly, this is so funny. Super Kitties, dude. It's a kid show. Like superhero kitties. The soundtrack for that. So there's like a lot of like pop music and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
some of the underscoring in freaking Super Kitties, dude, is John Williams-esque. Like
Oh,
transitions
interesting.
and or like just like
Interesting.
the chords that they play in the orchestration they use. It's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, this is totally in line with this kind of level of orchestral work. So that's pretty fun to listen
Uh-huh.
to. I don't know if there's any like soundtrack available besides like all the pop songs, but yeah, that's pretty fun.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
so it's here and there, it's
Mm-hmm.
here and there. I think you're right. I think it will make a comeback. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I like that the part that where he said that he is, if it's possible, willing to do the sequels of his scores. And that he
Mm,
doesn't want anyone to come in and change anything. That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
that was really cool. That was really cool. Like I imagine for Harry Potter, I mean, you can tell like Prisoner of Azkaban, he went out with a bang with that.
Mm-hmm.
like I think what's the last track? I think the last track is Mischief Managed, I think, which
I don't know.
to me just feels like he's saying I've managed my mischief, you know. And like his kind of finale, what is it? Yeah, Mischief Managed. So
Interesting. Yeah. It was my favorite book anyway, so
Azkaban, nice.
yeah.
Mine is Order of the Phoenix.
Hmm.
I really love Order of the Phoenix. Like after the Goblet of Fire aftermath, and you're just like thrown into what do we do now? Like
Hmm.
shit has hit the fan.
The wild stuff, yeah.
Everything is happening. Like everything's
Hmm.
scary. Like yeah. So
Like nowadays.
yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite one. But yeah, so I think it must have been hard for him to not continue that series.
Hmm.
But you're right.
But they did well. He said that he
Mhm.
liked the way they approached it. I mean, they obviously went from his, basics. And
Yeah.
the Hedwig's theme is still, it has an appearance,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
it does here and there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're all different.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're just different. I wouldn't say they're worse. I don't think that's fair to the
It's
composers,
different.
but they're different. And
Must be different. Yeah.
which is cool, you know? So, yeah, man.
And it was so odd to hear that he wrote Hedwig's theme before seeing any visuals.
Hmm.
And he should write something for a trailer, and he came up with that, which is.
Yeah, I know. I actually I don't know why I knew that story, but I knew of that story.
Hmm.
And I think it's so cool because that I mean that just kind of said it just shows that there is an imagination that John Williams pulls from
Hmm.
and you know childlike exploration that he still holds on, you know, like can pull from.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
which I think is super important.
Talking of technology for a sec, he still uses pen and paper to write his music,
Hmm.
and he says that it would take so much time to do it on a computer, and many like operations would get so much faster on a computer, but he's still
Hmm.
uh, preferring the good old pencil and paper.
Yeah, I know that is goals. It's not sustainable if you're in the industry at all. Like it is just not
If you're not
sustainable.
him.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And you know, there are copyists and orchestrators that help, you know,
Yeah.
finalize all that stuff and like transcribe it onto digital and stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely goals. Composing digitally, like for me, if I'm composing something in Sibelius, I get distracted with the playback
Hmm.
and I can really fall down a rabbit hole of kind of you have to be careful not to orchestrate in a way that sounds good on Sibelius
Hmm. On MIDI.
in MIDI and like
Yeah.
orchestrating to that sound.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty tough. Another thing that I thought was interesting, the trumpet player that they showed that
Tom
was
Houghton.
yeah, you know Hooten?
I follow him for a while.
Oh, sweet. Dude, he's killing. He's one of the best trumpet players out there. And so then you've probably heard the Tom Hooton and John Williams album, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, I'll send it to you. It's the
Hmm.
Trumpet Concerto
No, okay.
album with Tom Hooton playing trumpet on it, and it's John Williams Trumpet Concerto,
Hmm.
and it is, dude, it's so sick. Like his concertos, which they touched on this in the documentary, John Williams concertos are very, very different compared to the like
Hmm.
singable, you know, main themes that we get in movies and stuff. It's kind of his arena to,
Experiment.
yeah, experiment
Hmm.
and just total creative freedom, you know. So,
Hmm.
and you definitely hear that in his concertos. So the trumpet concerto, it's just so sick, dude. Maybe we can talk about it next week.
Hmm.
And you can listen to it. Movement two, oh yeah, we'll talk about it next week. I'll send it to you. So anyway, that was cool to see him on there talking
He's
about
first
John
trumpet
Williams.
of the LA Phil, right?
I don't know where he's at now. Probably that would
I
make
forgot.
sense. Yep, L.A. Phil, principal trumpet.
Hmm.
Dude, that's so sick. Yeah, man, he's killing. Next on my list, I have that they were talking about Home Alone, or John Williams was talking about Home Alone
Hmm.
and how he loved doing that, and he said Christmas textures.
Hmm.
That's what he was going for. And
Yeah.
yes, absolutely Christmas textures, man. And he's so masterful at it. We hear that in Harry Potter too, for some of the Christmas
Hmm.
scenes, just those Christmas textures. I loved that phrase.
Hmm.
That just, yeah, that's exactly what he wrote for Home Alone.
And he came on later on the project because the original composer was not available, which is odd.
Yeah, kind of weird, but totally elevated those. I mean, you have
Hmm.
the Christmas textures, but you also have the just very interesting underscoring for the robber scenes, with Harry and Marv,
Hmm.
like just like kind of almost like slapstick underscoring for their injuries and things. A genius soundtrack through and through for those. Actually,
Tis the time soon.
yeah, actually, like preferably right now. Actually, someone else that they talked about was Leslie Bricusse, who's a lyricist and composer in Europe. Who he was the one who was like trying to convince John Williams to leave the film industry, like get out of the commercial thing, like do
Oh
your
yeah, yeah,
own.
okay. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that was Leslie Bricusse, and he actually John Williams actually has worked with Leslie Bricusse on a few things throughout his career. But Home Alone was one of them where he worked with Bricusse on like, he had Bricusse do the lyrics for a few choral songs for Home Alone,
Hmm.
like some of the original choral songs for Home Alone. So that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, dude. Oh, this is so cool. So then talking about Harry Potter, he said children and magic
Hmm.
equal music.
Hmm.
And
Oh.
that is just so sick. Like that's exactly it, man.
Hmm.
Why they remain so nostalgic to us and why they remain so like fundamental to us, even if we don't listen to orchestral music. Like he has just
Hmm.
captured
Hmm.
this thing, and like that's I don't know. That gets kind of into like last week how we were talking about like capturing memories or just like I guess it kind of gets back into the primal instincts thing, but
Hmm.
yeah, just keeping the child in you alive, I guess.
Always useful, as we pointed out in earlier episodes,
Yeah.
especially approaching new Star Wars anything.
Something else here. I'm just like reading through all of my notes.
Hmm.
Oh, dude, I loved how George Lucas said he's not sure if he would have done the prequels.
Yes, yes. Without Johnny.
Yes. Isn't that
Hmm.
sick, dude?
That is, yeah, totally. I
And
mean, I totally get why, but it's a
yeah,
huge statement, you know?
it's a huge statement. I mean, that's such a big deal.
Hmm.
And oh man, I just still couldn't be happier with the prequel scores. I mean,
Hmm.
I have to be careful not to go on a Phantom Menace soundtrack tangent.
Not again.
I hate it when he does that.
Yeah.
Did you get to the part in the documentary where John Williams talks about his top four? Like if he had to pick a piece, like what describes him? Have you gotten to that yet?
No, no,
All right. Spoiler alert, or should we save that?
no, just keep on talking.
Okay. So super cool. I mean, there's so much to choose from, but he decided to choose Yoda's theme,
Yeah, sure.
right? Like of
Yeah, he's
all the
Yoda, yeah.
themes, of
Yeah.
all of the themes that he's written, like that's one. He said the ET moon theme, like the flying
Mm-hmm.
theme, that one.
Boo-dee-doo-doo.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the second movement of the violin concerto.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. And
Okay.
I went back and listened to that over the weekend, and yeah, I can see why.
The one he wrote for his wife, or just he was telling her to write something for violin, and then he did after
Yeah,
she died.
he finally came around to writing a violin concerto. So
Mm.
yeah, that. and then the finale of the cello concerto. Those are the four, like his top four, he said.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So pretty interesting selection. But
Interesting mix.
I can absolutely see why for all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. This will be another spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Which you may, I can't remember if it was you who sent this to me or someone else, but someone did actually like a montage of this. But one huge thing at the end that he talks about is literally he says like music supports us, sustains us,
Oh yeah,
brings us life. And I'm
yeah.
like, yo, this is literally like,
Okay, Yoda.
yeah, like the Obi-Wan describing the Force to Luke thing.
Yes.
Like literally the same description that's used for
Mm-hmm.
the Force. And
You
so,
think it's on purpose?
no, actually, in this, it didn't sound like it was. Like there was no
Mm-hmm.
hint of
Mm-hmm.
being like cheeky or clever here.
Yeah, okay,
Like
okay.
it was just like he was just like describing it, and so I just think it's just too true, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so yeah, like let's talk about that. You know, so music being the Force, there
Makes
are
sense.
some, yeah, and there
You
are
know
some
it.
implications
Mm-hmm.
for that. Like for example, that means there is a light side and a dark side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess more accurately, like a a way to use like you can use the Force for good or for evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that means music has that same kind of ability to function depending on the wielder
Mm-hmm.
and how you harness it and use it. And so that to me is super interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of demands a level of responsibility
Mm-hmm.
for the creative person or the songwriter or the composer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it demands a level of responsibility, I guess. I don't know. What are your
But
thoughts?
I think it is in addition to that, it is, you know, it is in everyone, but some can, you know, wield it or feel it more than others. So
Yeah.
everyone can enjoy and listen to music, and some of them are actually be able to make music and to wield this force.
Hmm.
And but it's in everyone
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
music, I think, as I said that last episode, music is an essential part of life, just as eating, sleeping, or you know, making sure that people exist.
So yeah, that kind of thought process, it kind of reminded me of, do you know the artist Aurora
Nope.
by any chance? She's like she has some really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, she did an interview recently for her newest album that came out, and she made a really good point about exactly this, like the responsibility of in function of music.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me find this clip. I'll play it here and see just like what you think.
That's why it's quite reassuring because there's been a big discussion in the UK this past couple of weeks about whether people want realism in their music and to focus on the bad or escapism in their music. But you've proven that you can do both.
You can do both and you should do both because art is both. And I think if you do one too much, it gets bad again, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all about balance, isn't it?
Mm.
That's what we need. We need both and we deserve both also as human beings.
What are your thoughts on that in this context?
Between realism and escapism, right?
Yeah, so like you know, should art be realism and you know focus on the bad in the world and stuff, or should it be escapism?
It needs both. Totally does.
Right. And so yeah, and I totally agree. And I love how she put that. Like we need both and we deserve both. And
Yes.
we should do both.
Yes.
And that word balance So in this context where music was literally, he gave the definition of music, the same definition that Obi-Wan gives the Force,
Mm-hmm.
and like balance, right? So like that being the goal, is that balance in the Force? And like if we're going to have this crazy connection and metaphor, like music being the closest thing we actually have on Earth to the Force, right? Like that's interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
with the responsibility that comes with that, and the, yeah, just like attaining balance in the Force, balance in the music. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just so, I don't know. I was just making all these connections about that, or with that, and thought it was
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Totally. So fascinating that he's actually quoting Obi-Wan.
Like almost word for word, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were all of my notes that I had from the documentary. That was kind of like the last thing that I jotted down. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sweet. I'm pretty grateful for this documentary
me
right
too.
now. And haven't seen a negative comment about it, actually. I mean, how
No.
could you? But
Yeah, how dare you? But also, yeah, that hasn't been happening. Yeah, I mean, like we said last week, I'm just so happy that John Williams got to not only be a part of it, but then got to like see it and watch
Mhm.
the reception of it. That's so cool to me.
Yeah, let's hope that he can still do some future Hollywood bowls after more than 44 years, which is a lot of
Yeah,
time, a lot of concerts.
I know, man.
Sweet. I have nothing more to add at the
No,
moment.
I think it's a great place to end it.
Yeah, there will probably come some more thoughts, but we can cover them in future episodes.
Totally.
So
Cool.
let's wrap this up.
You all lucked out. We got through it in a part 2. We didn't have to get to part 9 of this.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Cool, everyone. Well, yeah. Stay safe out there. Share this, with your
Pet.
friends, with your pet, with your Nerf herders, and may the force be with you.
Always.